Did your tent break down?
We are live. Hello. Welcome. In case you didn't know, Americans or non-Americans, they know what chicken nuggets are in the UK. I wasn't sure either, but we've learned here just briefly. Chicken nuggets exist in the UK.
They sure do.
You can go down to your McDonald's and get a cheeky nugget. Basically, that's what happens. So we've got 7 people here today, which means that we're going to be doing a little bit of a chat roulette because only 6 people can be on screen at once because I am cheap and have the unpaid subscription to this StreamYard. So we'll be bringing Lamia in and out and switching Rob in and out with Lamia. Because
are you aware of what chat roulette is?
I was going to say.
I have no idea what that is. No.
Okay, never mind. We'll move on. I don't want to distract the chat.
Yeah, brings back memories of teenage trauma. But yeah.
Wait, is it that thing where like you just like get chat with random people like the Omegle or whatever?
Yeah, Omegle.
I mean, I never did that, but I know what it is. All right, so we are going to introduce some people here because we are here for the 1-year anniversary of the Secret Scribes. What are the Secret Scribes? Well, it is 13 fantasy authors, 9 of whom are in the UK or Ireland, 4 of whom are in the US. And if you look at the bottom of the screen, you can see that there is that little ticker going because we have a little bit of a schism within the group as to whether Central Standard Time, which is what the middle US is in, or British Summertime / Greenwich Mean Time. I don't even know. There's too many names for the UK-ish time, and like it gets confusing. So we just try not.
We just call it the time.
we're at the baseline. We are time, and you're just like sequels of time.
All right, so we are the Secret Scribes, and this is our 1-year anniversary live because we have been a group for 1 year now. So we're gonna have some people talking, some questions answered, some new exciting announcements. Guys, I say 13. We technically have 12 public members right now, but we're actually going to be announcing someone who has joined a while back and we just never announced because it's been very busy, guys. So we're going to start along the top. Introduce yourself. Give us a quick rundown on your books that you have already written, any new projects you're working on, and then we'll go from there. All right. So, Tom, you are first.
Hello, my name is Tom. I have a beard. I like books, so I'm Tom Bookbeard. I am a secret scribe as of a whole year ago, as the rest of us are. I'm also 1/4 of the 4 beardmen of the Bookpocalypse. So hello, DB, David, and Charlie, if you're watching. It's a sort of bi-monthly podcast. We do RPGs, panels, all the rest of it. I'm writing a sky-high fantasy with plenty of sky pirates and debauchery, which is good fun. It's called Corsair. Should be out this year, I hope. I'm also writing a weird western, which is also a deck-building lit RPG. That's called Frontiers of Evil. And I'm also working on the Corsair sequel. So there's lots of writing going on.
All right, and next is Rach.
Hello, yeah, I'm Rachel, and I write under R.A. Sandpiper. I have a trilogy out. Now the whole trilogy is out, which is very exciting. It is a third-person, restricted, high fantasy trilogy where a distrusting thief breaks into a ball to pay off a debt and is then arrested for murder and exiled to the Cursed Desert, which is ruled by the best friend of the man that she just killed. So that is the premise of the first book. And it's a complete trilogy, and that first book is actually now out in every format, which is also very exciting. Audio came out 2 days ago. And yeah, I'm working on another epic fantasy, which I will talk about more maybe later, but I'll leave it there for now.
right, Sean.
Hello, I'm Sean O'Boyle. I am like everyone else here, a fantasy author, and I have one book that's already published called The Battle of Spirit the Bard and Company. It is a fantasy comedy adventure in the vein of Discworld and kind of a bit of Lies of Loch It is a adventure about a little bard who's a bit of a reprobate and a schemer who ends up on a mission to fulfill a promise to a friend and has to rely on the help of two very reluctant allies to get that job done. And then I also have another novella coming out in June 27th, set in the same world as the Bard, called Checks, Balances, and Proper Procedure in Monster Hunting, which is a small little fun story about a bureaucratic empire and all the goings-ons there and what happens when a complete nightmare of a monstrous case falls upon a very sort of deluded clerk who's been working there for many years. So that's coming out June 27th, and I'm also working on Spricket 2. So there you go.
All right, Lorraine.
Hi, I am Lorraine. I write under Ellen Douglas, and I am the author of 2 books out: Granty's Guardian, got them here, and Granty's Fury is out as well. And I'm sort of working on book 3, but not really. I am also working on a novella, which I was going to try and get published soon, but might not be because we've just bought a house. So that's kind of taken a lot. I know that's kind of been very exciting. But apart from the house, yes, the novella is called Davga, and it's about a character who will meet up with the rest of the characters up in the north when I get to around about book 4. So I've got a lot of writing to get up to scratch without everything. So yeah.
All right, and then Rob.
Last and least, I'm Ari Sanders, Rob. So I've got 3 books out in the wild. Tantalus Stands, which is a novella. Path of Blades, which is my first full-length novel. And Demon's Tear, which you might have seen, which is the first book of Jantikar Saga. I have written book 2 of the Jantikar Saga, and it's in the closing stages of finishing editing and doing all the stuff you need to do to make it a book rather than a Word document. And so that's going to be released in the next couple of months-ish. I'm not committing to any dates yet when it's ready. And in the meantime, I'm also writing something completely different, which is a Norse-themed historical fantasy, which I've not finished yet, and I don't quite know what it's going to be when I do finish it. So we'll see. But yeah, never stop writing.
All right, and Lamia left. I think she's just going to be in the chat. So Lamia wrote The Wingspan of Treason, L.N. Bayan. And then there's finally me. Oh, there's The Wingspan of Treason.
I have to copy that as well.
I do. It's in the other room. I'm Dave Lawson. I write under Dave Lawson. And I have 1 book out and 1 book that comes out in 5 days. The book that is out, The Envoys of War, which is also available in all formats, audio, ebook, paperback, hardcover. So you can find it and give it a listen or a read. And then The Pawns of Havoc, which is a prequel novella that is a little bit more serious and sad in some moments than the original series. Some people have accused me of trying to ruin lives and make people cry, but that comes out in 5 days, and so far I've heard a lot of good stuff from readers, so I'm excited to get that one out into the world. And then in the chat we have a few other scribes. Alex Schuerman, who also knows what Buc-ee's is. Alex, I was explaining to everyone here about how Buc-ee's is the greatest thing to ever exist. And they just thought it was Alvin and the Chipmunks. And then Bella is here. She's long in the chat, as you can see. But she says happy anniversary to us. And then there's another person in the chat.
Oh, excuse me.
Bless you.
Thanks.
Who is our newest member.
Woo!
So we're going to officially welcome. Well, we can't welcome here with that because that's just incorrect information. Thea Lyons, who has written The Hidden and the Somnia, I believe are the two that have been published. Maybe there's a third one as well. And she's got several different things in the work. So Thea, another UK writer, because we're really trying to like keep the feud going, US versus UK. But there we go.
I think the US is losing. There's barely any of you guys now. It's just mainly us.
Yeah,
us over the pond. So
it's true. Like basically, what's the point? We're basically a UK writers group. So we are going to answer some questions. I've put together a list, some that are like real questions and some that are a little bit more fun because we need some of that chaos. So our first question for everyone here is going to be what character, and for this it needs to be someone else's character, not your own, from the Scribes has stayed with you the most? I'll let anyone who wants to answer go.
I'm going to say original Francois.
Justice for Francois.
For what might have been as an animal companion. Yeah, in the Envoys of War. Yeah,
Put down his prime. You know, we barely knew him.
we very knew him. Yeah.
Why?
Alex and I have the same answer. We'll get to that.
Well, I was gonna go Brune from Bella's book, because who doesn't like a Scotsman in a kilt? Come on. Even the Scottish woman says that.
I think I have to say I've not finished the book now. I'm still halfway through it, but in the Wingspan of Trees, and I'm very intrigued by Klaus in terms of just like what's going on with him. Like he's very, very shady past, and I like learning more about his past. So I would say at the moment, it's definitely Klaus.
I have to pick two because I'm the host and I get to.
Okay.
So the first one is Palomina because, come on, like sexy snake lady that is also like snake dude within lady. Like it's so weird, but yet like it works.
That's
and
true.
Also like she has this seductive power over everyone, which is just kind of great character from Lorraine's books. And then my other one is going to be some of you probably have never met this character because I don't think he's in the first book at all. Rach, you can tell me if I'm wrong, but Nadrian or from Rach's series, who is like the perfect example of the snarky, witty dude who's just too cool.
He's the comic relief. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Which is always going to be my favorite character.
Mhm.
But he's not in the first book at all, right?
No, he's not in the first book at all. So,
All right. I thought that I was pretty sure he was one of the ones that arrives in the place where they go in book 2.
Yes, he does. He arrives then. He's part of that whole lovely found family trope. I will jump in and I'm going to say, I'm going to probably pronounce this wrong. This is how I pronounced it when I was reading it. So like Ian, is that correct? From Rob's book. I think I like that character because he got put through so much shit, and that's what I do to my characters. So there's a kinship there. But yeah, there's a moment that happens kind of fairly early on, maybe, I don't know, a quarter of the way through the book, which is just pretty horrible. And yeah, I think I like that development for him.
Well, I'm writing book 2 at the moment, and it gets loads easier for him.
Oh,
I doubt that severely.
I feel like Ian, I think of him as Ian. Ian and Surrey would either be like, she'd be like, we can bond over this, or she'd most likely be like, I hate everything about you. Why are you so stupid? Get away from me.
No, he's too honourable. I don't think they'd get on at all.
Yeah, but it's quite interesting because I there's a lot of sort of there's a similarity I think between Siri and the character Elia in my stories, and her and Ian are just about to meet, and that's exactly what's going to happen. They're going to absolutely detest each other on sight.
So it's enemies to lovers, right? That's what we're going.
VUH, yeah.
Okay. Good.
The thing is that all of
It's
our
not in
books
this book.
are enemies
It's
to
in the
lovers
next one.
in some way. Like mine, obviously, Corden and Tobias.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sean is obviously Spricket and the World. Lorraine, I'm trying to think of enemies. Yeah, my thing failed.
What, Lord Zurin and...
Is he in the first book?
Oh, no, actually. He's
I've only read the first one, so...
Yeah, he's just...
But yeah, I've seen the artwork. It's definitely enemies to lovers, but... So if you haven't read any of Lorraine's, or you've only read the first book like me, she's got this artwork that's going to come out at some point that's basically like her series is becoming Shadow Daddy enemies to lovers.
Okay.
Lord Zurin, you heard his name here first.
Yeah, it's a bit sexy, that art.
Good for you.
Yeah, it's cool. I like it. Wait till we get Palomina's one in.
Oh, Lord.
Alex will have to take a day off work then.
That's funny.
My wife just texted me and said, when did Corden and Tobias hook up? In the fan fiction.
Yeah, in the version that I read in my head, they were definitely not. That's all I'm saying.
All right, our next question, I think everyone answered there. What is a piece of advice from the scribes or something from the scribes that has really stuck with you or helped you as a writer?
I guess.
I was just going to say, just in general, the amount that we just kind of chat and kind of chat about writing, and it's just that whole thing of it's quite a solitary thing to do, but when you're in a group like this, it's like a little bit less solitary, and you can just, if you've got anything, you know, Discord's right there, so we just come on and chat and ask advice and stuff, and it's a really safe space, and I've really appreciated it for this year. A bit floundering about on my own when I'd published the first book, and I think it's just growing all the time, and the amount that we all trust each other and sharing each other's work and getting proper feedback on things. I just think it's priceless, really, for moving on. That's my bit.
I think I'd echo that, and also I say a bit more specifically would be anytime Rach does a insight into marketing, whatever marketing campaign you've tried out, and the harsh facts and data analytics are really interesting, because I've yet to make that leap myself into actually putting money into those kinds of ads. So I think that's helpful.
Thanks. Good to know. I just enjoy doing them, so then I feel bad when I'm like, oh, I'm just going to bombard this thread with like more data that no one asked for. But I think I'm trying to treat the first year, because I'm just coming up to first book birthday now, as like throw money at things and work out what works, and then down the line I just won't throw money at the things that didn't work, and then you guys won't make my mistakes when they didn't pay off. So
I'd agree with Sean there that the data has been really good.
I think what I've got from the scribes, which has been really valuable, especially going on from what Lorraine said about it being on your own, is that the lesson of not to take it too seriously. Because when you're on your own, if you've got no one to talk to about it, it can be a bit of a grind. The writing can be, and the trying to get people to actually read it afterwards can be. But when you've got people around you to go, look, we're all on the same boat, you've written a book. Not many people do that, and someone just to confirm that actually you've done pretty well so already is really valuable, because otherwise you've got no one to tell you that. Even when you log on in the morning and go, I've written 700 words this morning, and someone else goes, I've written 800, and you're like, yeah, we're all doing it together.
Yeah,
that's really valuable.
True.
I would say two things. Once again, I'm going to answer two because I'm the host and I get to do what I want. From a technical standpoint, I would say there's been several people who have had really good advice. But one of the things that I really had not even considered until Bill read Envoys, and he was like, why do you have so many dialogue tags? And I was just like, I don't know. He's like, you don't need to say Corden said or Jen said after each time, or you don't have to have a tag for each thing. You can, because I looked through and I really did have at points probably too many dialogue tags, and that was something that, with writing the second book, I was a little bit more cognizant of where am I putting dialogue tags? When can I do an action tag instead? Or to kind of not have quite as many saids and asks in there. Obviously, you can't never have them, because that would be that'd be the opposite. But that was some good advice. And then also I'd say just all of the people who have either read, done some beta feedback, or read a paragraph for alpha feedback, or the people who have read the book and know something about my characters and have things to say about them. You have a ready-made group of people who can do things like give you advice about what to do with a character, make fun of you about how your character has too many plans, or write in fan fiction in their mind about characters that hate each other becoming enemies to lovers, all of those kind of things, to where it's been just a fantastic thing to kind of just improve overall, not just in the technical aspects of writing, but also in when you have people who care about what you're writing, it helps you to be more confident in your writing. And confidence is always one of the things that's the hardest for me, because I'm constantly not confident and having imposter syndrome and all of those things, to where having people to kind of be like, no, shut up, Dave. You're a good writer. That's the kind of thing that helps me a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even though we have the imposter syndrome thread on the Discord, it's the server on the Discord, it's just so handy to have this collaboration between all of us. And we're all at different stages of the author journey. So it's day-to-day advice and guidance and support. And that's what's really been special for me. I know I'm kind of letting the team down because I haven't published my book just yet, but I didn't feel judged or bad about it. I feel like people are come on, you can do it. I get loads of good advice and guidance and feedback. It's just been a brilliant collaboration to be a part of.
Zhao is in the chat.
Zhao. I think just to round that out as well, I think I'd say also there's an honesty with us as well. If someone suggests an idea for their book, or posts a blurb or a book cover, and we don't like the look of it, we'll let you know. We'll be nice about it, but we'll let you know. So we're not just an echo chamber of positivity. There is an honesty there, and I think you need that. You need that. But chip of the ego is definitely needed, for sure, and it makes you a better writer and a better person. So,
yeah, I've really enjoyed the anthology stuff that we've been working on as well. That's been really, really fun, and reading each other's stuff and critiquing and things just builds your skills as an author, and and learning how to critique as well. That is a skill as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hi, Annette.
Hi, Annette.
Let's see, what was I going to say?
Did we officially announce the anthology yet?
Oh yeah, the anthology. So for those of you who don't know, all right, Sean, do you want to announce it? Go for it.
Who's announcing it?
You Are you the one talking about it?
There was Lorraine.
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 You want to announce it, Lorraine, or do you want me to?
We need media training.
You do it.
All right. So, from the minds of Alex Schuerman, he came up with an idea to have. Well, I don't know if he came up with the idea. We kind of had talked about it, but he sort of took over as the project manager. We are going to be publishing, I think, hopefully sometime this summer, an anthology of stories by members of the Secret Scribes. I think the only people who don't have a story in it, I don't think Lamia has one, but she will talk about her role here in a minute. And is she the only one who doesn't have a story in there?
Thea?
Well, Thea, yes, but Thea wasn't in the group whenever we started.
That's no excuse. You're in the Scribes, you contribute, is what I say.
Obviously.
Damien's not.
Oh, Damien, yeah.
Damien, yeah.
I sometimes forget. So yes, we have I think 11 stories or 10 stories, 10 or 11, I don't know, something like that. One by each member. We've got a wide variety. We've got comedy, we've got cozy, we've got sky pirates killing each other,
Genital mutilation.
Who wrote that one?
Me.
Who didn't?
Oh, I read yours, Sean. I don't even remember that at this point.
A redraft. Bill made some notes and I added it in. So.
You're inspired.
So 10 stories, 300 pages.
One winner.
80,000 words. So Bill Adams edited all of our stories. And if you don't know anything about a Bill Adams edit, sometimes you get it back and you just like drop everything and run away and never speak to anyone again because, you know, he's mean. But Bill edited our anthology. Alex has been in charge of everything. And I think... Oh, well, Lamia is drawing the cover. I knew that Bill had written a story. Because I remember when Bill said that he had added a story in.
Because we had one drop out.
Yes.
And Bill edited that one too. He edits
Yes, we
everyone.
should all edit Bill's story as him.
Tear it to pieces.
I think that's
Yeah.
a brilliant idea. So our anthology will hopefully be coming out sometime this summer. I know we are waiting on the cover, and I think that's it. I feel like the editing's all done and it's been formatted, and it's just I think once we get the cover, it will be ready to send out for arcs and all that kind of stuff. If we are doing that, I don't actually remember. That's all Alex.
Alex is doing it.
yes.
Alex is doing it.
He's on it.
Alex is doing a great job with all of that. We appreciate him. We don't tell him that very often because Alex's way, like Alex likes to be screamed at and insulted, but every now and then we have to be nice to him as well. We are announcing ARC sign up soon, Alex says.
Ooh.
Bella, don't lie. No, Alex is awesome.
You shouldn't be against Alex. He's one of the few people on the US team. Like you need
That's
him on
true,
your
actually.
side.
You're scoring an own goal there now, Dave.
I mean, I've been told that I have British humor in my book, so I'm basically one of you.
Define British humor as an American. What does that mean?
I don't know. I mean, I know what like the British sitcoms and British comedies that I've watched.
Yeah.
But
Better humor.
but like that's what some American readers who have read the book have said, that it had British humor. Like Micro Birdie read it and said it was British humor. So yakety sax playing in the background. I don't even know what that means.
That's, you know, the Benny Hill theme song.
Benny Hill.
Oh,
You know that one? No, okay, fine.
Nope.
But you have the beaver no one's heard of on your shirt, but you don't know that. You don't know that.
Bucky is a he's a legend. I mean, I feel like my characters are just constantly doing sort of snarky, witty banter at each other, and they say things like "my good man" and "good gods, man," and things like that. So obviously, they're all British. Our next question. Who in the group would be best at writing a thriller? Contemporary romance? Sci-fi?
I
So
feel
you're saying
like
non-fantasy.
So like non-fantasy, like who would be best at, we'll do thriller first, then romance, then sci-fi.
okay. I was just gonna say Bill feels like sci-fi, but
Yeah.
not the thriller one. So
He's already written a sci-fi novel.
yeah, he
Yeah.
already is like
Yeah.
sci-fi, so it's gotta be him.
I feel
think
like
Greg would do good thriller. I feel like his action scenes. Either Greg or Rob would do good at thrillers because they do really good action scenes and they build tension well. So yeah, I'd say they could write like a John Grisham, John Patterson, James Patterson kind of. I almost said Robert Pattinson kind of level. James Patterson. Those novels in the airport, that your dad reads. like Man on a Lonely Road, book 17 or whatever. I feel like they could do that.
I read a lot of Lee Child, and I'd love to write that sort of snippy, fast-paced, action, tension stuff. And I was actually thinking of doing it in a fantasy setting, so I haven't got around to it yet.
I'm going to disagree with that. I feel like Greg is a little bit his writing's not like 3-word sentences. He's a really good writer, but his writing, it's not purple, but it's sort of a dark pink, you could say. And it's great for the epic fantasy, but I feel like thriller has to be like so bare bones, and that's not the way Greg writes.
Okay.
So we're gonna say, who I think I know who's
writes bare
written a
bones.
thriller. Bella's written a thriller.
Yeah, but Bella's book is also quite like Bella's I was going to say Blood and Dreams, and that's the second one. Oh god, I've blanked on the name of the first book. What's the name of
Dreams Thief.
Dreams Thief, thank you. That's kind of contemporary romance portal fantasy, right? So there's an element to that which is already contemporary romance, but I guess if we have to pick someone that's not written it before,
Lorraine.
Yeah.
I was going to say Lorraine as well.
Would it have to be spicy though?
I mean, let me ask my wife since she reads the romance. Would it have to be spicy?
There's clean ones.
She said there are sweet romances, but then she shook her head like, no, they need to be spicy.
Oh, I'm going to attempt this next year, so we'll see how I get on. But it'll be a fantasy one. So,
what about a YA dystopian?
I have already written one of those.
You would have been my answer there.
I have written a YA dystopia. It's never coming out of the literal drawer that it's in. It's bad. Like I wrote it when I was 21. It was the first book I ever completed, and it's more just to prove that I could complete a book. Yeah, it was very like. I think I seemed like a YA author when I was writing the YA book. It's very angels and demons, very obviously right and wrong. Very little nuance to that book. Bad. It's not salvageable. But I
would say reading your new work, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, it has, it's not dystopian, but I feel like in those first few pages, I was like, some of those aspects, I was like, this kind of reminds me of the Maze Runner a little bit.
It has that in the same way that sort of Divergent has a kind of opening, which is a bit sort of young person gets put in a trial-y dynamic. It has that, so it kind of reads like the opening of Hunger Games and I guess Divergent in that way, but then it goes.
It's not
in a more epic direction.
Like those, but right at the beginning, it had that vibe.
Yeah, it has that similar opening. Yeah, that's true.
Let's see, horror.
He's left.
I feel like
Oh,
right for her.
Yeah.
Jesus, come on. I think horror.
I don't know. Sean, you might be quite good at writing horror because horror's got quite similar beat to comedy. You've got to build something up and then there's a surprise.
Yeah, make it. Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah. I mean, actually, the concept of Eamon and Madge came from a horror script I wrote years ago. So yeah, I guess it's not dissimilar from it. But yeah.
I'd quite like to write a Scottish ghost thing, but I don't know when I'd have time to do that. But Edinburgh's just full of ghosts, and a lot of people are inspired by the city. So it would definitely be a bestseller if I wrote one. So I should really write.
Go for it. Who could write a self-help book?
Oh,
God, we all need that, don't we?
It's got to be Lamia. It's got to be Lamia. Just to be don't take any shit. It's like the art of saying no or whatever.
Yeah.
It's got to be
the art of posting Thomas Gibbs. Yeah.
It would be a very angry book.
Yeah, but helpful.
Lots of pictures of Thomas.
Exactly, pictures of Thomas. Yeah.
What about a spicy paranormal romance?
I don't know. Either Lorraine or Rachel, I guess. I don't know.
I think we just forced Rob to do it. Put him out of his comfort zone.
Oh yeah.
Make him write some sex scenes with
That's a good question. What is the one genre you wouldn't want to write?
Horror for me.
Horror.
I can't do it. I can't watch it. Can't read it. No.
Yeah.
Same.
I'd probably be unlikely to write crime. I like a little bit of crime, but a whole book of it and police procedures and stuff like that doesn't interest me.
My problem with that kind of thing was that I would just fall down the rabbit hole of making it accurate. And I'd want it to be absolutely spot on, and I think I would just lose myself in trying to make it, doing the research to make sure it wasn't bullshit.
And having to write a whole crime mystery and like who did it and who. God, it's exhausting me. Yeah.
I quite like the idea of writing a mystery or a thriller or a horror. I don't think I could ever write literary fiction because I can't write something that doesn't have a plot. Physically, it's impossible for me. I start often with plot, so if it has no plot, I wouldn't be able to get past one chapter.
Yeah. Is that still written these days? Literary fiction, like that?
Yeah,
That's more like the classics.
I would say yes, but it's mostly I did the MFA now 18 years ago, so I'm kind of out of the know, but yes, it is. A lot of it's mostly just published in literary journals, and then so it's not if you're talking that kind of literary fiction that doesn't have a plot, a lot of that's more literary journals. There are novels. I feel like there's more of an emphasis toward writing a literary speculative book or a literary horror, or I feel like there's a little bit more of a genres can be part of the literary landscape a little bit more now. And whenever I was doing that, it was kind of if you had anything genre, they'd be like, oh, this is genre fiction, and didn't really want anything to do with it. So yeah, literary fiction exists, but in general, don't think it has quite the same amount of readers.
Okay.
I feel like everyone here would be really good at writing a Western.
Yeah, I'd love to write
Westerns.
a Western. Yeah.
Well,
I think
Westerns
are pretty similar to fantasy, actually.
You've already written one, Rob.
You can easily make it a Western.
You've already written one. Isn't Tanned Last Stand a
It's
fantasy?
basically a Western, but with fantasy swords. Yes.
I put a message on the group tonight, and I'll say it here. I watched for the first time with my family last night. I watched The Three Amigos, which I've seen loads of times, but not for years and years. I watched The Three Amigos. I was like, oh my God, this is the same plot as Tanned Last Stand.
I think also The Mandalorian felt to me like fantasy Western, and quite a lot of recent the new stuff that Disney is doing with that IP has a lot of Western vibes to it, which is
Star
fun.
Wars has always felt Western to me. It's
Yeah.
always been like space Western.
Yeah, Space Western.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love all those spaghetti westerns. Like I used to absolutely devour those as a kid.
Yeah. The
The
Man with No
John
Name.
Wayne, Jimmy Stewart westerns from the 40s and 50s. Those are the absolute best.
I watched True Grit
Yes.
the first time ever at the BFI here in London. The John Wayne version. It was good. And it was actually not to disparage the late great John Wayne. Well, actually, he's not that great because he's like a white supremacist. But anyway, John Wayne, he was really good in True Grit. He was really funny. Like he actually put in a good performance. Because usually John Wayne is just like the good man who has nothing about him. But in True Grit, he actually has a bit of grit to him, I suppose.
Some of his best movies were the ones where he played like a Western guy who was morally gray to an extent.
Yeah.
Who ended up doing the right thing. There's one called Angel and the Bad Man that he's like a gunfighter who is not a good dude who kind of tries to be better. But yeah, I think he was a good actor. He definitely did some movies that were like he played the same character a decent amount. If we had a group mascot, what would it be? There's only one correct answer here.
Thomas.
Yes.
Francois. I was going to say Francois, but Thomas, that makes sense.
Obviously.
Francois is,
Okay, if we had to have a legally distinct mascot that we wouldn't get sued by, the Thomas the Tank Engine company. Isn't like a reverend who like made
Reverend Audrey is name was.
Yeah, so the church will come after us. We don't want that. So I'm thinking, okay, so legally distinct Secret Scribes.
Grace Monkey. Yeah.
Palomina.
Tricky.
Palomina. Pally the snake.
Well, we couldn't use your beaver on your shirt, Dave, because that's already too.
Not Dave Beaver, no.
What's one animal that doesn't get enough representation?
Tom's beard.
Tom's beard, yeah. like a vole. Voles get a bad rap.
All right, Rach, I need you to make a Secret Scribes logo with a vole on it now.
Okay, I don't think it's going to be. I don't think it's going to be distinguishable.
They've been feeding voles glitter so they can tell them apart.
Or one with the capybara on it as well.
No, those are two popular. I'll do the vole one, but I feel like it's just going to look like a mouse. But I'll try.
But we'll know. We'll know that's what's important.
I don't know how many Canva graphics there are going to be of voles, but I'll see what my
Scribes fighting voles.
The gauntlet has been laid down.
I can rustle it up right now. To be fair, I can do that. Do the whole
my wife says they could be magically enhanced voles.
Okay,
that are
noted.
big voles and are awesome.
Well, you do get water voles in this country, so maybe you could have voles of different elements as well.
Oh my god! Yeah, the four vole.
Fire
vole.
Rob, you can make a tune-up with your guitar.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. I don't even know what
the elemental voles. It'd be like Ninjago, but with voles.
They're a cute little rodent.
Oh, they look just like really fat rats. That's what a vole looks like, with like a shorter snout. They're actually quite cute. Oh, that's way too bright. Whoops, sorry. Yeah, that's a vole.
Yeah.
Yeah, sort of like a beaver looking.
Yeah.
All right. Our next question: what's something that you'd love to see us, the Scribes, try this year as a group?
Do you know what I really enjoyed, which I'd like to see more of? Remember we did Fantasy Feud with Ball and Balding, that blog, and we absolutely trounced the break-ins. We should just trounce the break-ins more.
Yeah.
Was that a quiz?
Yeah,
the quiz.
Oh hell yeah! Let's just do way more quizzes. Yeah, I'd love that.
I mean, I know we did a Scribes quiz bowl once, but we could definitely do like a US versus UK Scribes quiz bowl.
Okay.
Or the men versus women scribes quiz
I'm
bowl.
terrible at quizzes.
You're there to just be nice and say
I'll,
good job.
I'll host it. I'll host it.
Hot wings challenge. Actually, that could be fun. Everyone gets hot sauce and wings, and you eat the really hot wings while talking.
Oh God!
I mean, if you're going to sell books, that's the way to do it, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hot wings. It's the only way.
I mean, hot wings challenge. I bet you'd get some people to watch that.
Yeah.
We could do Mad
Especially
Libs.
if like the person is crying. Like,
They're crying, and then they've got to say a really sad line of somebody else's book, and they're like,
no, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do it with Sean and make him like read from Checks and Balances, like the funniest part, while he is crying tears from eating ghost pepper wings.
Fine. I've been to Mexico. I've eaten the spiciest crap of all time. Actually, aren't ghost peppers like basically illegal?
They're
Really,
so
burn the roof of your mouth off hot.
I couldn't do that.
Nah.
I couldn't. Do
they
that.
don't even taste like it's. I like
fire.
spicy food, and I get
Yeah.
like when I buy Indian food or something like that, I get the like second highest level spice. They have like authentic. I get the authentic level. I like spicy food, but I don't want it to just be like so spicy that it just tastes like spicy pain.
Yeah. What's the point of that in nature? A pepper that's spicy. Who is that for? Just doesn't make sense in the circle
To
of life.
be
Not
like,
eaten, I guess.
I can eat spicier food than you.
As long as you can eat spicier food than the break-ins, it's all that matters.
Yeah.
Well, we can do like a hot ones challenge. Like do you eat the hot wings get hotter and hotter, and we all ask questions about each other. Oh, there's the bowl. There's the bowl. That's incredible.
Or you could do it like a literary version. You could read Spicy Romantasy and the scenes
no.
get spicier and spicier.
Actually, I like that. The spicy challenge where you have to read Spicy Romantasy while also
Eating hot wings.
Ooh, what's happened there?
I am pulling something up for everyone.
It's the new Vol logo.
There it is. Which element is that Voldo?
That is the new Scribes logo. You guys, you saw its creation live.
I'm getting a real like Red Bull vibe from that logo.
Red Bull.
Yeah,
Red
I mean, I
Bull.
could change the background to be more fiery to make it the Fireball, but that's just a standard edition bowl. It's got a lot of potential, I think, to grow.
I was going to say it needs a name, but it's clearly called Francois, isn't it?
Yes,
That's what
his
the
name
Secret
is
Scribes
Francois the Vole,
Yeah.
obviously.
Yeah.
Like all animals are named Francois.
Francois
you
the
do.
Fireball.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about here. We're going to be serious for a minute and say, what is something that you hope to do with your writing in this next year?
I guess I can start. I want to publish my next book, hopefully in September, which it's The Bride of Evenfold duology. I'm doing like a proper cover and title reveal in the next month. So I want to publish the first and the second book of that in the next year. The first one in September and the second one hopefully in January. And then I kind of want to start working on something that's slightly different. So I'm planning to either go into a kind of fantasy horror or a fantasy rom-com, which is going to be super silly. So I'd like to write the first draft of that maybe by this time next year. Those are my plans.
I think fantasy rom-com's a great idea because that's something no one's doing at the moment. It's all like serious, spicy, whatever. But I think like a
I think I'm seeing quite a bit of like fantasy comedy getting some good traction with sort of dungeon crawler Carl, but I feel like the rom-com aspect is not going yet, and either that means there's no audience for it, which we will discover, or it means that it's just not been done yet. So
like something like Bridget Jones in a fantasy setting or something like that.
Yeah, that could be fun. This one's, I don't know, it's a bit weirder. This one's more like Hercules meets The Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah, it's not time loop, but it's kind of like a bit Groundhog Day like, but more of the vibes of Tom Cruise and Emily Blunt from that, but in a Greek mythology. It's very stupid. But I think Alex, to be fair, is working on something which could be described as a fantasy rom-com as well, depending on how much rom there is.
I've read a few fantasy rom-coms, but I would say like they exist, but it's definitely a little bit more of a niche.
Yeah, and that's fine. I feel like it's more of like a palate cleanse, right, for me, because I've just written like a trilogy and I'm about to write like an epic duology. So maybe writing a 70,000 word novel that's the standalone would be a really good idea for me to stop doing this to myself.
I just want to finish some stuff instead of starting ideas and not finishing them. So I've got like 3 things I really want to finish, and realistically, hopefully 2 of them, and then next year there'll be other stuff to finish. But the novella and book 3, Grantia's Fate, I really, really would like to finish this year. But it's been really nice actually taking time away from book 3, because I was just getting kind of stuck in a little bit of a rut because I was spending too much time in Queen Villardis's head, and she's mental. So yeah, it's quite nice to have a break from her and then go back in, probably in the new house. I think when we get in, that'll be my challenge.
Are you gonna have a writing room in your new house?
I don't know if we've got space just now with out an extension, but I'm eyeing up the garage for a conversion. But I don't know if the husband will let that happen. But yeah, that would be quite a really cool space. If I'm dreaming.
We'll send him a signed and notarized letter with the new Secret Scribes Vol logo and say that you are required to use your garage as writing.
The Vol is watching.
It's authorized. Yeah.
You can just call the Vol Friend Swole if you want.
Swole, the Vol.
Yeah, that's good. That's going to stick.
Can you make the Vol more muscular, please? Can you become the Vol Friend Swole?
Yeah, no, I actually can. Give me a second.
He's actually doing it.
So Richard has just said OMG Dave using the UK pronunciation of garage. So before the show started, I was talking about the glorious place that is Buc-ee's, which is a gas station.
No, a petrol shop, Dave.
And I said, you probably in the UK call it like a petrol shop or something like that. And they said, no, it's a garage, a petrol garage. So
it's a car hole.
I just call it a garage. But obviously a petrol station. No, it's a petrol stop. Petrol station. They all said it was a petrol garage.
We just say garage. You go to the garage. Which is kind of nuts.
Righto. I'll take on the next one for this one. I think for me, basically having Spricker 2 written this year and released next year, and then starting up the next novella, which I already have an idea about what that's going to be, and then maybe down the line having like a palate cleanser that is like maybe something a little less fantasy, probably a little less comedic. But that's like, I need to get other things done before I do that. I need to get the proper writing done before I can do the fun writing, basically. So.
And you get married as well, so you've got.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm still getting married too. So yeah, I also have to write my vows and write my speech. So there's a lot of writing to be had this year now. So yeah.
Is there any crossover like Spricket 2 vows?
I'm gonna try out the first chapter of Spricker 2 in my speech. My family who have no context of what I do being like, just bear with me. Yeah.
Oh crap! This is the wrong notepad.
All right, Tom, you're next.
Yeah, the Corsair is almost good to go. I've done one more pass at it, editing wise. It's had its beta reads now. I just want to get proofread and then polished, and then it can go out into the world
This year?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Now that
Yeah.
like we finished our own house move, I suddenly have time again. It's amazing. I was like, what is this strange concept of? Well, I have to wake up at like 5:45 in the morning to get an hour of writing in, but I still do it. I also want to really knuckle down and get the deck building Weird Western done. It's basically, yeah, it's like Once Upon a Time in the West, but with Yu-Gi-Oh mixed in. It's a lot of fun to write.
Oh, you're like designing the cards, like you're making like a game.
You basically load the cards into a 6-shooter and shoot them, and that charges their magical properties, and then you can summon monsters and shit. So, yeah, it's fun. I don't know if it's going to be a novel or a novella at this stage. I just think I need to see what happens with it.
Rob?
Well, obviously, as I said earlier, I've got part 2 of the Jantaga Saga coming out soon. I'd like to get that out. That would be really great. Hopefully, you'll get people to read it. But this year, my plan is to slightly betray my indie self-pubbing roots and send one of my novels to be traditionally published. Kind of want to see if it's possible. Test the water. I've written something completely different that doesn't sit within any of my other works, so it makes sense. It stands alone. I think it's more unique. Potentially has more of a selling point. We'll see. Nothing lost if I give it a try.
Is that the Norwegian fantasy book? Yeah. All right.
Is it a fantasy book or is it like a historical novel?
Yes. So it's like low fantasy. So it's set in the real world. It's set in a historical real world setting, but it has elements of fantasy, folklore, and mythology in it, and in that world they are real. So
sounds like the Norse version of Children of Gods of Fighting Men. The
that kind of thing. Yeah. So it's not. It doesn't. I spoke to another guy on Twitter who writes something that sounds very similar, but actually in his version of Norse mythology, it's more mythologically based. So he writes it includes the Norse gods more, where my story is written from the point of view of people who lived in pre-Viking age Scandinavia, but the folkloric aspects that we know about are real in that world. So they have trolls, they have sea serpents, they have weird magical things, as well as the Norse gods that they believe in but don't necessarily see, but they are real. So I'm not that aware of anything in that period that exists, and the saga I'm using as my basis doesn't have a modern adaptation that I know of. So I think it's pretty. It's something new. So we'll see what happens. It's not finished yet, so I can't really do anything until it's finished.
All right, and I think I'm the last one here. So I have started working on book 2 in my Envoys series. I wrote some of that this week. And then I'm also doing a little bit of a side palette cleanser sci-fi story that might be novella or long short story. I don't know yet. But I'm writing that currently in first person and little bit of a different vibe, I would say. Just wanted to, like, I grew up reading sci-fi. And so I decided to try my hand at it. I'm not good at the science side of things. So it's going to be like one of those sci-fi stories where it's like, yep, here's the science is there. My characters aren't the scientists. They don't know how it works. Because the hard science, I can't.
Is it more sci-fantasy than sci-fi?
No, it's going to be sci-fi. But I think I also have always liked space opera more than like the hard stuff to where it's more like character focused. There are spaceships. There's not going to be no magic or powers or anything like that. But just kind of like sci-fi adventure kind of thing. So I've written about 500 words of that, and I have some ideas, and I am going to work on that kind of off and on this summer, just as when I need a break from writing the fantasy book 2, can go in and write something a little bit different, just to kind of have more than one thing going. So, I mean, it doesn't hurt to have more than one thing going at a time, because I don't want to get burnt out. I know with Envoys, it was all I did for a while, and I definitely struggled with burnout after I finished it. And I kind of want to try to take my time a little bit more and not overdo it and burn out again with book 2. So, I mean, there's not really any rush to publish immediately. So I probably won't publish anything again until next year sometime, like 2026.
If George can wait 15 years to post a sequel to his well-loved fantasy series, he can wait a year or 2. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I don't know. I've got like 6 fans who are really, really after me, you know?
Hey, you got 6 fans. Yeah. No, I think it's really, I think it's what, you know, it is there is that FOMO in indie fantasy, because you see some certain, you see people who just write like really quickly, like Rachel's got a whole trilogy out now. And obviously you see like the Ryan Cales of indie fantasy, and just book after book after book. But like, I think it's important to write your own pace, write within your own personal schedule, you know, and obviously prioritize the things in your life that need to be done first, and then do the writing. That's kind of the
to humanize my timeline a little bit. I wrote the first 2 books quite before I published them, so it was only the 3rd one that I wrote kind of in that period. And also, I lost my job. Well, I quit. I didn't lose my job. I intentionally lost my job, and I don't have kids. I don't have a job. So there's a big context there as to why I'm maybe like producing more words, but I'm still producing definitely less words per year than people that do have a lot of full-time stuff going on. But yes, yeah, I think I agree with the daunting indie stuff. Like, I see people that are producing new drafts every 2 months, and that feels absolutely wild to me. But then I think that people see what I've done, and they're like, oh, you published 3 books in a year, and it's like, yes, but 2 of them I wrote 2 years ago. So, yeah, no, it's really hard, the comparison game. And also the point about burnout, Dave, I think there's like so many different points of burnout. There's the writing the first draft burnout, there's the writing the second draft burnout, and then there's like all those different editing stages, and then there's you publish the book, and that's its own form of like marketing horrible burnout. I think we've all had the feeling of like it's out, and then you have like a hangover for 2 weeks where you can't write anything. Yeah, it's I think taking it at whatever pace suits you is good. I just keep going because I may as well, and I have the time right now. But yeah,
like, I'm a teacher, so I've got some time this summer, and I'm going to try to get a decent amount of writing done, because I know like during the school year it is harder to find time. I should have a little bit more time this next year though, because I've switched to a new school, and I'm not going to be doing drama anymore, so I should have more time in the afternoons. However, the hope is that my wife and I will be having kids soon, so that will take away all that time.
Get writing now. You're not going to have time. Like Lamia and Bill probably, and Alex. It's like having a family takes up so much time.
Breaking news: Thea has just left Secret Scribes. I'm just kidding. No.
Good night.
Night.
Night, yeah.
Right there.
Dave is
It's
the
a-
drama in the best possible way. There's like I think there's a TikTok sound that's like, "Is it me? Am I the drama?" And it's me. Hi, I'm the problem. It's me. All right. Next question. What fantasy world from another scribe would you most like to live in, and why?
Are you allowed to answer this question like conditionally? Like, I would live in this specific part of the world before any of the bad stuff happens. Is that legal as an answer?
What do we think?
No, it has to be as the plot's happening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let me think for a second then.
I think I know my answer already here. I'm gonna say I would live in Sean's world.
Really? Why?
I feel like of the places, it's the place where you might have the most chance to live a relatively normal life.
I was thinking exactly the same thing. It seems to be the place you got most chance of surviving. I mean, Strickland gets himself entirely into trouble. I think you could avoid it.
I might pick Bella's world. I kind of want to live in the Highlands and then maybe accidentally meet like a prince of some love, you know. I'll take Bella's world because it's basically the same thing, but just with the minute chance that magic is actually real.
I think I live in Grantia because don't they have like a big long sleep or something at the beginning of the book, or there's like a hibernation period?
They hibernate in the winter, so they don't have to deal with the cold.
Oh,
Is that inspired by living in Scotland by any chance?
Also, just like, strengthening bonds, all of that. A cat has made an appearance.
Dave, I don't know if you've seen, but we do have Franz Swole in the Discord. If you want to share,
I have not seen that yet.
No.
All right, give me a second, and I will get Francois up on here.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I think Rob's world, absolutely not. Never, no way. You couldn't pay me enough. Rachel's no, because like you'd just be randomly walking around and like someone would sacrifice you.
Yeah, I was thinking I would live in Banagher, like if nothing bad ever happened to me, because that place seemed kind of nice for a bit. But yeah, not in general.
In the normal run of things, it's one of the safer places in the world to be. And as the more I wrote it, the more I realised actually in the normal run of things, it's probably incredibly boring and probably extremely conservative. So actually, maybe it wouldn't be such a picnic to live in.
I think the world in Envoys is way too.
It is cold, and also like, I mean, while the characters are relatively fun and everything like that, I wouldn't say that the events that happen are very like fun, like war and lots of death and everything. It's not really like, oh boy, that's where I want to go.
They have nice wine though.
They do have nice wine.
None of us write cozy fantasy, so it's a difficult question to answer because you're kind of choosing which world is the least bleak to live in. Maybe like Bill's novella, it hints that there's a world beyond which is nice and green and not dystopian, which might be potentially nice.
There's Francois in all his glory. Alex says that he'd live in Tom's world from the limited part he knows. Bella says she'd live in Alex's world. I still say Sean's world because, like, I feel like as long as you lived in one of the
towns,
areas, one of the towns, you'd be pretty much fine and have like it'd be like in D&D when you're in a town just kind of hanging out.
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, you definitely don't want to live in Galzar. When you read this book, you're like, living in Galzar is like hell.
I mean, you'd probably be safe. You'd just be
safe, but you just have so many forms to fill out for everything. Yeah. Someone mentioned cozy fantasy there. Here's a roundtable question: do people think that cozy fantasy is kind of had its time? You don't see as much of it anymore as you used to.
I think it's still really popular.
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess it depends on the subgenres, but I
Mm.
think I've seen quite a lot of in the romantasy space. It's doing quite well.
Romantic
Romantasy
thing, yeah.
is doing
Yeah.
quite well.
Yeah.
I don't know
Right.
how well it's doing in kind of like epic spaces, but
I still
there's a
see
shot
a
like-
decent amount of non-super romantic cozy fantasies that seem to do
Yeah.
pretty well. What I would say is, like, if you look at Baldry, like his second book is less cozy than the first one. And
it's tricky with a book too to keep the stakes so low because you usually like ramp up the stakes, but tricky.
I would say some of the ones that I have read or seen more recently that are cozy adjacent more than they are like full on. They're building a coffee shop and making coffee and all happy, and the conflict is that, oh no, the coffee shipment is delayed. Like there are those.
That's just my life. We're getting
I would say that a lot of the cozies now have like a murder mystery or some kind of bad person. Like there are some elements of danger in the world, and it's not just.
Yeah, I think it depends how you define cozy fantasy, because I think some people define it as it just having no real conflict at all, and some people define it as like the conflict just isn't world ending. And that, like, if it's just a small personal, if it's like a personal thing, it could even be like quite a big level of conflict. As long as it's not something which is world breaking, it's cozier.
Mine's cozy then, if that's.
Mine's cozy, yeah. That's the definition.
I like side quest fantasy. I think that was a Tom.
Side quest fantasy is great. Yeah, that's a great subgenre idea.
Tom, I want to ask actually, with the question of what world we're living in, how much do your Sky Pirates feel like the characters and the bit from Stardust where they're on the boat?
Oh yeah.
Because if so, I want to live there.
I'd say it's slightly more Treasure Planet than.
Okay, that could be really fun though.
Yeah.
I love that film. I love how those planets look. So I'd like to live there. Maybe I'll read your book first and
and then decide.
decide.
It's not the worst life, but it is piracy. Like the whole point of the novel is, it starts off like Jim Hawkins' Treasure Island, goes off an adventure. But unlike Jim Hawkins, the main character, Gerald, does join the pirates. And then it turns out that's really not a good idea because sky piracy is really dangerous.
Okay, sure. But then how much like maggoty bread is there? Have they got access to better food? Because I think that was my biggest downfall of wanting to be a pirate, was the food.
There is a chapter with the ship's cook, and I'm not going to spoil it. But I wouldn't eat anything aboard that ship.
Okay, I can't live there then. The food is the priority, I think.
See, I only want to read books now where the cook pours porridge onto someone's bollocks. So next question, we talked about D&D briefly. This is my favorite question of all of them here. If the Scribes were a D&D party, what class would everyone be? You can't answer your own class.
I'm going to say that Rob would be a bard, but who also uses a sword. So like you combine classes or something. Multi-class. So you'd be like a bard because you play the guitar.
There's also a Path of Swords bard. I think that's a thing in 5e.
So
like a bard fighter multi-class.
Yeah, definitely.
I see Dave as kind of like a rogue.
Yeah.
Never actually played a rogue.
In that, I feel like you've got that kind of mischievousness.
Well, Tom would be a wizard, obviously.
Oh yeah,
I've not played D&D, so I don't know.
We're gonna say that I think Rach is a druid.
Interesting.
No, Lorraine is a druid because Lorraine writes books about shapeshifters like
Patagonia. Yeah, I see that. There's more animals involved in that story.
Rach should be more of a rogue.
I'll take it. Well, I said I've written a thief, so it's the closest adjacent one.
Actually, no.
Is that
Rach
accusing
is a
them of being
monk,
thieves,
guys.
isn't
Come
it?
on. We've seen the picture. Rach is a monk.
Oh
I'm a
yeah.
monk.
A
That-
monk.
Yeah, that's fair. That is fair.
Aren't monks like great like hand-to-hand combat that like beat everybody up?
Yeah, no, great. I've got
Yeah, like
absolutely
Rach.
no arm strength, so that'll go down really well. I'll be a really terrible fist fighting monk.
It could be a monk assassin. That would be quite cool.
It would be cool. It would be cool.
Yeah.
And we need to pick Sean's then.
We're not allowed to say bard for Sean because
No.
it's too
It's too
Also,
obvious.
I can't play an instrument, so I wouldn't be a bard. So
yeah.
Mm,
Greg is a paladin. I think.
yeah, I see that.
Yes. Yeah.
I also think Bella is some kind of like sorceress or wizard, or like it's something magical there.
Bill's a barbarian.
I feel like Alex would
is
be a warlock.
lawyer.
Sean,
Yeah.
I'm struggling on you know.
Bella. So are we between Tom and Bella? Which one's a wizard? Which one's a sorcerer?
Tom's a wizard, Bella's a sorcerer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Bella would just like hit you with something and she didn't know exactly how it worked.
Yeah. I'd be the GM. DM, there you go.
I like that. Yeah.
No.
But we could give you, I just feel like you're not like a cleric or something. So then, what do we?
Sean can be an artificer.
Could accuse you of being a priest.
Yeah, that's not what anyone really wants to be.
I'll be the NPC working in the tavern, killing on a mug.
The ghost.
You
Yeah.
could be a ranger. We can make you be a ranger, maybe.
Yeah, fine. I'll be a ranger. Yeah, I'll be a ranger.
Or just that one guy who has a crazy homebrew class.
Yeah.
Makes it the end like very difficult.
I'll be the Shawnator. It's just fucking world.
Lamia, I think I'm gonna say artificer.
Yeah, like isn't there a class that like draws, or is that an artificer? Like they draw and
They create.
They create, yeah.
So we're saying that Lamia's like designing the maps for our D&D world.
Yeah, exactly. She's like drawing on maps. Yeah.
I think that's all of the classes.
Yeah.
We didn't give any to
or Damien.
Bill.
But that's okay. I said Bill would be a barbarian.
Oh yeah.
Damien
100%
is the
barbarian.
person who
He's definitely the most temperamental.
And then Thea, he can be a bard.
2 bards.
She's also writing a book about a bard.
Oh, she is. Yeah, I saw that on her Twitter. Yeah.
Right. Let me go back to my questions here. Okay, this is one that I think this is another fun one. What is a trope that you love, even if you feel like it's maybe a little cliche or people think it's cliche? What's like the trope that you will fight to the death for, even if others will make fun of you for it? If you need to Google what the tropes are, Lorraine, you can do that.
I don't know what any tropes are.
Like, great chat. I say enemies to lovers straight away.
Or like the chosen one is a trope.
Yeah.
The chosen one is a good one.
Yeah.
I do love a good quest, Alex.
The prophecy. Is it the prophecy?
Basically,
yeah.
That melds into the chosen one.
Yeah.
Which then gives you enemies to lovers.
Yeah, because in my story, I have a kind of prophecy, but it's very vague, and also I want to make it so that people are like, "Is that actually a real prophecy?" Like, I want to make it so that it's not actually a prophecy at all. So, but it could be.
I think I'd say I don't even know what you would call the trope, but every story that has like all hope is lost, and then at the very end they turn around. At the very end, there's someone that saves them or something like that. If that's done extremely well, like I think it can be effective. Like that hope comes to the last minute, and you're tense. You're so tense that everything's going to fall apart, and in the last second, someone comes along and saves the day, or like
The
like,
Eagles.
The Eagles are right. The Eagles, exactly. Yeah. And
A eucatastrophe. That is the Tolkien term.
Yes, eucatastrophe. Yeah.
Every adventure story, any big story like Star Wars, Indiana Jones, they all have that moment. And we've seen it a million times. But if it's done well and the reader cares, then job done. So
I'm gonna be the really basic one here. I have two of them because, like, once again, I'm the host. I get to do what I want. The first is, it's not enemies to, I mean, it's kind of enemies to lovers, but I like it more when they're like the rivals who are annoyed with each other. Like they think the other person's annoying for like the first half, and then they get together. So like, I don't know if they're full on enemies, but they bicker a bunch. And a lot of the old romantic comedy films from the 30s and 40s would do that, where like for the first half, the woman thought the man was just the most annoying person ever. And the guy was like, oh, I'd never want to do anything with her. And then like they're forced to spend time together. And so they're not like attempting to stab each other, but they're kind of rivals. And then my other one, and this is one that I feel like is just, I eat it up every single time that I see it. And that's going to be the only one bed trope. I feel like it's just like, it is always a good one, guys. It's always good. Like, even if they don't share the bed, it's like he sleeps on the floor. Or
it adds tension. It adds
tension. It is just like, it is the best. It's one of the best tropes. Like every single time I'm like, let's go.
I think I'm just gonna obviously enemies to lovers, because I can't not write enemies to lovers, but like niche into enemies to lovers. I like enemies to lovers within like marriage of convenience, because then you get the forced proximity and you get the huge payoff when it's like they don't like each other, but then something happens to the woman and he's like, take your hands off my wife. Anyway, it's like the payoff is fantastic. And I love that specific niche of enemies to lovers. Also separately, like training montages, but specifically also where there's like dragons involved is particularly great. Like How to Train Your Dragon had that fantastic sequence. I would also say like Aragon has the same vibes. But yeah, I love a training montage in a film or like a few chapters where in a fantasy book where you can see the progression of a character getting better at something, and it's always satisfying when they get to use that skill later on in the book.
I like a good assassin as well. A really good, clever assassin that can in and out of places. I just love that idea that you can, and even though that they always win or get their mark or whatever, that doesn't annoy me. I want them to just succeed all the time.
Like the efficiency.
Yeah, I like it. It's like, they're really good at their job.
I like the whole idea of like the suicide-ish mission, or like the mission that they're like, there's no way we're going to be able to complete this, but we have to do it. And then, I mean, I want like, okay, telling you like Rogue One, boo. I want it where like they do complete it and most of them make it out alive and live happy lives afterwards.
You just spoiled Rogue One.
Yeah,
anyone who knows anything about Star Wars at some point in their lives knows the story of Rogue One. So basically, if you don't know anything about that, sorry. Go watch something else.
I like the fact that ended like that, because it was really unusual. I
don't want to watch that. Like,
you want your feel-good stories. Everyone has a happy old time. But come on,
I don't need the whole story to be happy, but I want there to be like some of the characters who like get out of it. And
you wrote like one of the most depressing novellas I've ever read. And you're like, oh, I love a happy ending.
Mine? It has a
Yeah.
happy ending.
That's very true.
In fact, it's not a happy ending. There is very little that's happy about that ending. Technically, a main
Spoilers.
character is alive at the end. It's not a happy ending.
What I would say is, like, I'm just talking about, like, I don't want to, if I'm reading a book where all of the characters die at the end, I don't want to read that.
Bill.
If I'm reading, like, something, like, for example, Joe Abercrombie, his characters can die, sure. And, like, they're not always, like, all good people, but you kind of start rooting for them and you like them. And so, like, I feel like even as you get further into the series, you're not just like, everyone dies at the end of this book, because some of the people escape with, like, a bittersweetish kind of. I like a bittersweet ending.
You want Mass Effect 2, basically. The
What?
suicide mission in Mass Effect 2.
I mean, I love Mass Effect 2 is one of my favorite games. And, like,
Yeah.
that's a great example of, like, sure, if you don't do things right, people can die. But also, like, I like the idea of, like, everyone thinks they're going for this mission that they're not going to come back from. But some people are able to come back from it. Because, like, if I'm watching, like, a horror movie where I've seen one or two horror
You
movies.
can make them all live, though, if you do play the game right.
I mean, yeah, and I know how to do that because I've played it so many times. But.
Well, the Mass Effect 2 thing is really funny because the only way that you get someone to make someone live is if you do their side quest. So if you sort out their, like, if, like, you know, you got, like, Garrus saying, "Oh, I'm filing my bloody taxes. Oh God," and you haven't filed his taxes, then he'll survive the suicide mission. That's just basically how Mass Effect 2 works.
Yes, I love that game so much. EL has a great comment here, like endings where they succeed, but it feels like a failure because of the circumstances.
Oh, yeah.
I like that because it's like, it's not just full on sad, everyone failed, the end of everything's just falling apart, but, like, there's some moments that are successful, but at the same time, it's like things are still not great. Favorite is the bittersweet endings. I think a bittersweet ending is the best. If it's like a rom-com, I think you want a little bit more of a happy ending, depending on the rom-com. But I like a happy ending, but I also don't know that I need it to be like it's so happy that everything is perfect forever.
But then you've got the ending of books, but then the ending of a series is different as well, because are you talking about ending of series rather than
more of a book?
A book, right?
I feel
Well,
like
obviously, actually,
but even at the end of a series, you don't want it to just be all bad. Because then it's just like there's nothing to look forward to with the world. Like, I feel like you need a mixture.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and that's what happens into the First Law trilogy. You know, it ends, and not everyone gets a happy ending, but some people get a bittersweet ending. So yeah, I'd agree. But I would say in the one book series that I think actually not necessarily dropped the ball on its ending, but didn't have enough of an ending or an epilogue was Wheel of Time. It just kind of ends. There's not, you know, I was hoping for like not necessarily a Scourging of the Shire kind of ending, but almost like, you know, another 30 pages of just what everyone got up to, rather than just like it ends. I don't know, 14 books.
Yeah, if it's a big epic and you've spent all that time with these characters, and you see that in movies as well, sometimes the ending shows what happens after, doesn't it? So,
or signposts where they're going, rather
Yeah.
than
Yeah,
just
exactly. Like in Lord of the Rings, like when, you know, Frodo goes to the west and Sam becomes mayor, you know.
Let's see.
We all answered that one. I was going to jump in with the trope.
Oh,
that
go ahead.
I can't get enough of. I haven't written this yet, but I'm almost certain that I will. And it's the forlorn hope defense of an impossible situation, like your Rorke's Drift or Trust the Legend, is the classic David Gemmell book. They're trying to hold a fortress against an army of 10 million people or whoever, and they know they can't win. They know they can't win. They're just trying to buy time. And you've got the character like Ross, who just doesn't give a shit whether he does or not. Yeah, that I mean, immediately, don't care what happens. Just love that. It's fantastic. Yeah, it's such a good trope. And the other one I was going to bring up just as a more discussion point is the equivalent of friends to lovers, but platonic. So two people who meet each other and have to work together and kind of hate each other, despise each other, and eventually sort of this grudging respect grows and they end up as friends. I love that. That's brilliant. It's not a romantic thing, but just like, God, this grudging respect that turns into a friendship. Yeah, love that.
There are some great buddy comedies out there.
Yeah, like buddy movie stuff.
I love those.
Yeah.
But so you're talking like Leonidas at Thermopylae or
Hot Fuzz.
Like, what?
Hot Fuzz. That's a similar kind of.
Yeah.
I was talking about the like the first one, the situation where it's kind of trying to hold them a little bit. I've read a Bernard Cornwell that was kind of like that. The Battle of Agincourt one, where it's basically like most of the book was about trying to hold the army in this battle, kind of like that, knowing, this is probably not going to be successful.
Yeah, that happens in the first law book as well.
Yeah.
I've read the first two, and I'm going to be reading the third one here pretty soon.
Yeah, it's good.
I'm reading The Devils right now, and it's good.
It was so cool meeting him. It was so cool.
Oh, you met Joe.
Yeah,
he actually took her book and like slammed it into his.
Just stood behind him holding a book up.
No,
that's my book.
No. After his signing in Edinburgh, I just happened to be with certain people that knew Justin, the host, and they came. He brought them to the pub that we were all at. So he was literally like sitting two seats down from us, and I'd left. I didn't want to wait in the huge queue to get it signed. So as soon as he turned up, I was like, "Oh, great! Here's my book to sign." Nice. So it's just awesome. But yeah, it was just really cool. It was really cool.
He interviews very well when he's on like a podcast.
He was really good. He was so funny. Him and Justin were just great. Justin Lee Anderson.
I bought his book the other day.
But he's such a nice guy as well. Like that, I don't know if it, like living in Edinburgh, you do tend to kind of, it feels like quite a good place for people to come and meet and stuff. So I feel quite lucky that I've been able to meet a few cool people.
I was looking at plane tickets to Edinburgh.
Ooh.
I mean,
don't go in August.
Don't go in August. No.
What's in August?
It's
Fringe.
Fringe.
the Edinburgh Festival Fringe is on, and you won't get accommodation. Like it's just booked up for.
I mean, I wouldn't be going for a while anyway. We were talking to my cousin earlier about how you can find cheap flights she was saying to Dublin and sometimes to other places like Edinburgh, etc. So I was just looking to see what the cost was.
Bella came over, and then I think Greg's coming to Edinburgh at some point soon as well. So
wow,
that's really cool. I'm here. My pup's here.
I come to your pub,
Yeah.
All right, here we go. If the Scribes had a TV show, first off, what would it be? And second off, what would it be called?
Oh God, I don't know. Like, what would the genre? What would the genre be, or what would it be about?
Yeah, what would the genre be, and then what would it be called?
Oh, well,
I was going to say it would be like a mockumentary, like What We Do in the Shadows, but about people writing, but in the same way that it's like vampires. Everyone's just sat in their own room, like writing. You have to come down for like a flat meeting, and no one really knows like how to interact with each other.
It would be quite similar, actually.
Introverts, yeah. It'd be the same as What We Do in the Shadows, except writers, not vampires. Yeah.
What we write in the shadows.
I don't know.
I mean, there's been one or two moments where we've had like soap opera like stuff.
Yeah. The drama.
Get out of my pub. That's what Lorraine would say to us. No,
Yeah.
go to Edinburgh, get out of my pub.
Yeah, my pub.
You don't really get. Do you get soaps in the States? Like a soap opera, like Days of Our Lives.
Yeah,
Alice.
my mom watched them all the time growing up.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, it's like she was always had those. I haven't seen one in 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh, Bella just came up with the perfect name, Whinge and
Wind and
Moan.
Moan. Yeah. Wind and Moan.
And it follows basically. I'm going to say it's a sitcom that follows the life of a writing group, but it's mostly through the eyes of a Welsh writer with his swords. He's the main character.
Should it be like done like Peep Show, where it's like from a perspective, and like we're just thinking horrible things about each other. Fucking Rob! Oh, here he is again with his sword
Rob,
videos.
It shows Rob wakes up. He checks KDP. He takes his sword. He hits the computer with the sword. He goes into the other room and writes.
Yeah.
It's true life, yeah.
Well, I'm sure whatever it was, it would get more than 3 seasons on like the Wheel of Time.
Oh, no, let's not get onto
I
that.
thought about making a comment about that when you were like, the Wheel of Time didn't really have an ending. It was like, no, it didn't. It just got canceled.
Sad times.
All right.
But do you think fantasy and television is actually kind of dying basically since all these shows keep getting cancelled?
I would say it's been dying a slow death since about 2019.
Yeah.
Well,
Like,
Besides Game of Thrones,
Season
what's
7?
another fantasy and television that's actually worked?
Witcher fell on its face from
Witcher first season was great.
yeah.
No, I don't think it was. I don't think it was at all.
I mean, I liked the first season for what it was.
Where they went wrong with The Witcher, it should have been a Monster of the Week show, like the short stories in the book, and not try to make it big and epic from the start, because that's not how The Witcher books work.
Yeah.
The best books are the Monster of the first.
The Monster of the Week, yeah, exactly. Make it like a Monster of the Week procedural, and that almost like harkened back to almost like 90s telly, like like your Xena Warrior Princesses, your procedural sort of fantasy shows. Wheel of Time obviously came and went. Rings of Power will probably get just one more season, but they might squeeze out a fourth just because of the sunk cost fallacy of the Lord of the Rings IP. Right, they want to get as much out of it as they can. But I can't imagine it's making much money, because I don't think anyone watches it. I think I watched one episode of season 2. Who here watched season 2?
Season 2 of what? Sorry.
Rings of Power.
Yeah, I did, but it was quite. I mean, I like the special effects and everything, like the scenery, and it was really, really cool. But yeah, the story, it just seemed to drag for me.
My biggest issue with most of the fantasy TV shows is that they all they're a lot of times very slow, and you've got like characters walking around and being like, brothers, today we come together for the, and it's just like over the top, like trying too hard to be fantasy.
It's like every episode wants to have like an epic moment that they can screen grab and put on social media, rather than just building it to it naturally. Like if you look at the first 6 seasons of Game of Thrones, a lot of season 1, like season 1 is basically a murder mystery, right? And it builds slowly season to season to those epic battles, like Battle of the Bastards and the battle on the wall with the wildlings. Like it builds to it, like really, like, and takes time.
It was quite low key at the start, wasn't it?
Very low key at the start. Very low key at the start. And I think Wheel of Time should have been more low key at the start in terms of like, just make it your A to B journey. Don't try and throw in all these other elements that confuse the viewers. Like I asked my non-book reader friends who watch it, and they're like, I don't even know what's going on, and I'm 3 seasons into the show. So
yeah.
I think there's like a lack of like ambition with people to take on things that haven't been done before, to take on new stuff. Because I think like years ago, you had like Buffy, you had like Sabrina the Teenage Witch, you had Supernatural, which went on for like a ridiculous number of series. You had like, and also like we grew up, well, I don't know, we nominally grew up with stuff like Harry Potter, but like I feel like there isn't that same thing. There isn't the same like TV shows for all ages. So I don't know
Agreed.
whether it's just dying entirely, but it's
Is
very
Shadow
strange.
and Bone fantasy?
Yeah.
Well, that got cancelled anyway, so
I mean, I knew that it didn't do very well, but
I liked it.
Yeah,
I liked the first season. I didn't engage with the second season, but I don't know why that was. It just didn't really work quite so well for me, but it was fine.
yeah, first season was really good, and I haven't
Lockwood
read.
and Co. I thought was good as well, which was another Netflix adaptation of a Jonathan Stroud series, but that got cancelled after one season. But the first season of Lockwood and Co. was really good, and that was aimed at like young adults. It was aimed at teenagers, and that got cancelled. Yeah, it's a shame.
like
See, I
the
quite
Dungeons
like
and
it.
Dragons movie has done pretty well, and I thought it was really well done.
Yeah, I like that. I like that film.
And I could see something like that maybe.
I thought it didn't do very well in the cinema. Not unless it did better on streaming.
I don't know how well it did in terms of like making money in theaters, but it's had a lot of people who have liked it, and so I think it, as far as from the people I know who have seen it, they all were pretty positive about it, and I'd heard good things.
I think if that film had come out not before but after Baldur's Gate 3, the film would have done a lot better. You would have had a lot more people into D&D that would have gone to see the film. So, yeah. But I think probably right now the best fantasy show that isn't cancelled and has another season coming is probably Vox Machina, right? I mean
Is what now?
Vox Machina, the animated one on Prime.
Oh right.
I've seen the first season of that and I liked it.
I liked it a lot. I'm a big fan. I'm not a Critical Role fan at all. I never watched any of the podcasts, but I like the show. So
I've tried. It's just watching them play
4
D&D
hours.
for 4 hours. I can't do it.
I think House of Dragons, the spin-off is pretty good. I'm enjoying that.
Yeah. That's true, Alex.
I do, Alex. Thank you for referencing my fantastic audiobook with the night film. Yeah, I do indeed. She's doing all 3 books, hopefully.
Which character from the game is she? I've not played the game.
So she plays I would say like of the tiers of characters that exist in the game, between like top tier being the obviously like I guess the people that you have in your camp that you can interact with and have like romance storylines with and have a lot of their own storylines. That's like top tier of character. And I would say she's in the second tier, which has a lot of screen time, but isn't a character that you can like have in your direct party. But has quite a lot of but yeah, her name's Dame Aelin, or the Night Song, and she's quite big in like Act 2 of Baldur's Gate 3. But yeah, it's very cool.
I could see something like Baldur's Gate being made into a TV show.
I kind of hope it isn't in a way.
I haven't played this game. I've played Baldur's Gate 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But like, because it's so big, I could see it being made into something.
I'd kind of rather
have to change it so much because it is such a like sprawling.
I don't think it would work very well as a game because there are so many different endings based on how you decide to play the game and so many different ways of playing the game, that in order to make a film, they'd have to basically decide that one way of playing the game is the correct storyline. And I think it would be hard to have all the through lines of major characters, because you can basically play with a rotating cast of 8 people. And then you'd only really have time in the film to focus on 2 or 3 of those people. And then again, you're basically dictating, this is the people that you should have spoken to. This is the way you should have played the game. I don't think it would like go down well with fans. It's my 2 cents on that, but yeah.
Fantasy TV shows are just, I feel like they're going to be something that we don't really see too much of because they're just, I don't know.
It's all about games and shows, not like Fallout. That's probably the next. That's
Fallout is a TV show.
I like that.
The Last of Us as well. The Last of Us.
Yeah. And they're
But
doing
then
a
they're
Mass
basically
Effect show.
yeah, I don't know.
What I'd say about both of those, like Fallout has different endings to some extent, but like they're kind of within often the same event happens. It's just like your role in it is a little bit different.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's see. Maybe one more question. Anyone in the chat have any questions? We've probably got a few more minutes before we sign off.
We're falling asleep.
I mean, I'm not falling asleep, but
It's like quarter to
That's
midnight. Oh my
Just
god.
pretty
Yeah.
oh, here we go. We've got one last question. This might be the best one ever. Which of your characters would you trust to lead you into battle? Which would you never follow?
I would trust Criterius because he's an honourable man. I would not trust. I would not trust anything Queen Valardis ordered me to do ever.
Yeah.
Easy.
I probably actually, oddly, would trust Suri to lead me into battle, but that's because she has a bit of like an unworthy martyr complex. So I'm sure any of her plans that could go wrong, she's just going to take the hit or she'll take the fall. So I trust that she would only really put herself in danger. So maybe for that reason. Never follow. I think I have quite a lot of characters that have got like no like battle experience, but probably Viantha. She's just never been on a battlefield and she has no idea what she's doing in her life. So her, she's too soft. I think maybe she's too nice. She wouldn't make a hard decision.
Rob.
I'm not going to pick one of my main characters. I'm going to pick one of my side characters, the guy who appears across all my books, which is a guy called Carlton Tan. I think if you were with him, he would keep you safe. Possibly at his own expense. He's that kind of guy. And of my characters, I wouldn't want to follow into battle. I think it would be Elia, because she's so confident that whatever she's got in mind would work that she just wouldn't have a backup plan. She'd lead you right into a load of trouble.
All right, so Tom and Sean.
I would definitely follow Captain Farah into battle because she's a very honorable leader, protects her soldiers, wouldn't put us into a charge that we couldn't get out of. And I absolutely would not follow Spricket into battle at all because he would no doubt give some great, sort of impressive, impassioned speech with the lute, and that would like influence me to go into the battle. And as soon as I go into the throng, he's like running the other way, and then I'm like slaughtered. So no.
I might go down the Rob route and choose side characters. I'd follow Razor into battle, mainly because if you're on Razor's side, then there's not really anyone more loyal and more powerful to be fighting alongside. I would definitely not follow. Well, he's a main character, but the Captain Jose, because his main priority is himself, and you may find yourself expendable.
I'm very intrigued by the Corsair, Tom, I have to say. I'm so looking forward to whenever the arc's coming out. I'm definitely signing up for one.
Oh, definitely. I'll ping one over if you like.
Yeah, sure.
I think that I would probably choose, like, the person I would follow into battle is obviously going to be Corden. I'm just kidding.
You have a plan.
I would follow Cork
Cork
into battle. He's the main character in my novella and a side character in Envoys, but he actually has experience. He's worked as a mercenary for several different groups and has actually fought in battles and kind of knows what he's doing. Whereas, obviously, Corden I would never follow, but I'm going to pick somebody else here because that's too obvious. I would never follow Jen into battle.
What?
So here's the thing. She is really good with her sword, but she has absolutely no idea how to, like, fight in a battle. She's just a run in and start swinging and hope that she kills more people than they kill her. Because she's never fought in any kind of battle situation beyond like maybe in the book the one time, but like she doesn't really know how it all works. Like that, tactics are not her thing. To where I feel like she would end up just being like, charge! And going in and hacking at people and not winning the fight.
That's actually a good point, because I've just realised that following Criterius into battle might not be a good idea, actually, because he's actually the same. He's not been in battle before either.
I think one of my pet peeves sometimes with books is and this happens a lot with like YA books, who have like they're all 16-year-olds, and then they're like, all right, we've learned our powers, and then like the next moment they're like, all right, there's the massive battle, and it's like, who's in charge? And it's like this 16-year-old is like giving all of the advice to everyone about where to go in battle, and like suddenly knows battle strategy, and I'm like, I feel like this is not really going to be...
It's not written for you, Dave. It's written for a 14-year-old boy that just doesn't want the teacher to tell him how to do the battle. He wants to be on the battlement. Like, it's
but I'm just like,
fantasy for children.
It is. But then I just think like, or even in like, not even in YA, but like the Chosen One things where it's like, you are the Chosen One, lead us. And then it's like this person suddenly is leading them into battle, and like 100 pages ago they were a farmer who didn't even know how to swing a sword. And now
one thing I think A Wheel of Time did very well was make that conflict between the guy who is just a farmer and all of a sudden everyone's telling him he's the chosen one. He's like, what? And then another group of people going, no, you're not.
And even then, if you do that, it works. But if sometimes it's just like, you are the chosen one, and they're like, suddenly they know things because they need to lead the battle.
It's magic.
So it looks like we're going to ask one more question. So Bella says she would follow Brune, but Lizzie would be distracted with something. Elle asked favorite character types. This will be our last question.
It's the sort of mentally figure or character who's so powerful everyone looks up to them, who then goes on to betray everyone before the book finishes.
Yeah, I like that answer.
That one too.
I
like the vibe of the mentor that's a bit like it talks in riddles is also very fun. Like they have this in the Poppy War and like The Name of the Wind, where you've just got this like crazy person who's supposed to be the mentor, but like he is speaking in ways that you should understand, but like he is just crazy man.
Tell me what you mean.
Yeah.
I just like the morally grey characters that especially the dark brooding men that you should be hating, but you actually secretly have a thing for. And bad
I'd say it's the character that pretends not to care, but truly really does care, and shows that usually in very dramatic ways when push comes to shove.
I like the Mr. Miyagi type mystic teacher.
Yeah.
With all the lessons that you don't quite understand until it's too late, and then you're like, oh, I've learned so
Wax
much.
on.
Yeah.
Wax off.
There's a line from Sensei Wu in the Ninjago movie, and they said, "Oh, Sensei Wu, we thought you were dead." And he goes, "I'm a kung fu master. If I was going to die, it would be to teach you all a lesson."
You guys probably think I'm going to say the witty, snarky guy. I'm actually not. That is one of my favorite types. But my favorite, I think, overall, is the person who like has done bad things in the past, but is kind of trying to do something now to get redemption for it or to change who they are. And then you've got other people who like know who they were in the past and refuse to like accept that they could change. So just I like that sort of the person kind of trying to find some sort of redemption, even though they've done horrible things before in the past. A lot of good Westerns with that. All right. Well, one last tell everybody who you are, what your books are, where you can find them.
I'm Sean. I write funny fantasy books. You can get them on Amazon. Get them today. They're well, this one's not out yet, but this one is out. Get this one.
Sean O'Boyle, they're fantastic. Read them.
I'm Rob. I write unfunny fantasy books. Available on Amazon and Kindle Unlimited.
I'm Rachel. I write books which have romances in that you have to wait like 3 years for them to happen, and also on Amazon. And the full trilogy is out, so yeah, check it out.
And an audiobook.
I'm Ellen Douglas. I'm writing an epic fantasy series. These are just 2 of the books, and there's loads more planned and novellas. And on Amazon and KU as well.
Tom Bookbeard. I'm on most of the socials. Check out the Four Beardsmen, the Book Apocalypse podcast. It's on YouTube. Just Google it. You'll find us.
And check out the one where they had this amazing guest named Dave. That was a good RPG session that they did there.
With cannibal robots.
Yes.
That was good.
And I just like spent the entire time harassing poor Charlie. So I'm Dave Lawson. I've written 2 books now, The Envoys of War, The Pawns of Havoc. They are both Envoys is a witty D&D inspired type fantasy adventure. Pawns of Havoc is a novella in the same world that people have said is not as funny and is depressing and sad, and but I still think it's pretty funny, even though some people are very they have strong feelings about how it ends. But
no spoilers, I'm reading.
But they're both on KU right now. They are only 99 cents, both of them, because I made Envoys cheaper, because Pawns comes out in 5 days. And yeah, I also have an audiobook for Envoys, and the second one is for Pawns is going to start production here pretty soon. We are the Secret Scribes. There are 13 of us. A few of them are still around in the chat, maybe, but a lot of them, I think, probably went to bed by this point. And here you've got 5 people who are probably about to go to bed. And me, I'm going to a baseball game because, it's 6 p.m. here. So thanks, everyone, for coming. Hope you have a good night. We're looking forward to another fantastic year of Scribes Books.
Yay!
Bye.
Bye.
Yay.
Bye.